Hey everybody, welcome into the WTH podcast. It's me, Nate. How y'all doing? So, got a note from Jason who said he would be at least 5 minutes late, and so we're not expecting him. Kareem is running a little late as well. Not sure exactly how late he's running because he did not say. He just said he would be running late. So let me see if I have any note from them. Da, da, da. Yeah, so they'll show up when they show up. Real quick before we get going, thanks for your patience last week. Most of the move is done of Darling New Media. I brought over the last of the stuff today, and the new office is a little disheveled still because there's a ton of stuff that doesn't have a place. So I'm at my desk here in the corner, out in the main studio, the big main studio, where if you see a larger group podcast like the All Eyes on Us podcast, that's going to be emanating from here, at least through COVID, so that everybody can be 6 feet apart. Just like our old studio space, we have a large room where we will be doing larger group podcasts. We've got some podcast studios. We've got two of them. They're actually a little bigger than the other ones. One is about the same size. The other one is bigger. Not dramatically bigger, just bigger. The ceilings are a little lower, so I think it all evens out in terms of visuals. When you walk in, you don't get that, oh my gosh, we have a really high ceiling, because we don't. We have a normal height ceiling in here. So that's very cool. Over the next week or so, everything's going to be put in its place. I was able to change my address for the business on Google because Google mailed me a postcard with a code on it. In case you're wondering how the world's largest tech giant handles changing your business address, or when you get the same thing when you register your business and your business address, they mail you. And let me see if I can find, I've got it right here. And so they mail you this. Here it is. And the back says, Google my business. It's not going to focus on it. It's okay. It says Google my business, and you have to go on to google.com/verify my business and put in your verification code. And then you can verify that you are where you are. That's how they do it. Apple Maps is a little more simple. Apple Maps required a call, an actual phone call to the business phone number, and they would then give me a code that way. So a little bit more modern, but not really, because they had to give me a call to tell me a code to put in to update my address in Apple Maps. So Darling New Media is now in Midtown Sacramento. Officially, our studios on Howe Avenue are a big empty right now. We've got a couple of things for sale out there. Those are going to show up on Facebook and probably Craigslist in the next day or so. I got all the pictures today and descriptions and accounts and the permission of Major League Baseball to use them. We've got a couple of desks that are just like our podcast desks. We just didn't need as many of them, so we have two of those. Really solid IKEA ones. We've got a couple of mismatched IKEA desks that go with those. We've got a desk chair, a Keurig, a 4-slice toaster, and there's something else. I'm just missing it right now, but there's a variety of things that'll be showing up that will be for sale this week, or we just got to get rid of them because 4 by 6 foot whiteboards. So if you need a big whiteboard, a 4 foot by 6 foot whiteboard, and you're in the Sacramento area, I'm your boy, because we can hook you up with one. I can hook you up with 3 actually, if you'd like. We just don't have. We didn't really use them that much in the old space, and we just don't have room in here. So that's where we are with that. Let's see. It's going to be a little bit shorter show, even with the guys joining late. My wife is having some surgery tomorrow morning, so I'm not going to stay here super late doing this. We're definitely not going to run an hour 15, an hour 20 like we have been doing. We're probably going to come in closer to 45 minutes. And that's from the time I started talking, because we start when we start. The other guys will show up when they show up. So a lot of things happened over the past couple of weeks. Of course, Joe Biden was inaugurated. That was a really interesting day because everybody was really prepared for the worst to happen based upon what happened on January 6th. The thing that did happen between January 6th and Inauguration Day on the 20th is the FBI really cracked down on the people who decided that, hey, I'm gonna break into the Capitol. And it's really funny how a lot of them were like, well, President Trump told me to, so that's why I'm doing it. Came in here to do it. What are you talking about? What's going on with this? Why is it a problem? I mean, we talked about it on our last show. There's that idea that not only would it be okay for them to storm the Capitol and go looking for people with uh, zip tie handcuffs, uh, arms. We've found out more things since then, like they were beating a police officer with a flag. I mean, does it get more ironically un-American than beating a police officer with a flag from the crowd that was Law and Order? Um, 3 weeks ago? So really weird stuff going on. I want to get into a little bit of the show now while we're waiting for them. Joe Biden, now president, and Joe Biden. Let me find this story. So Joe Biden is catching some flack from the Washingtonian, which I think is a blog. It's at Washingtonian on Twitter. And the headline, this is the first line of the story too. Joe Biden got bagels at Call Your Mother this weekend. He ordered toasted. Who boy, indeed. I mean, how much have we changed as a country in a month that the president of the United States ordered an untoasted bagel or ordered a toasted bagel, and now we are upset. It's written by Andrew Bojan. And Andrew, very upset. Hello.
Hello.
Let me turn you up here. Welcome in.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Excellent. We're still waiting on Kareem. I've started the show a little bit here. Since you're here, we're screw the Open. We're not going to run the Open today. Fuck it.
Fuck it.
We'll
do it live.
We're skipping over that. So, Joe, there's an article in the Washingtonian that if Joe Biden wants to unify the nation, why did he get a toasted bagel? Jason, why did Joe Biden get a toasted bagel? You lived in New York for a time.
Because he got it in DC. I don't know what the rules are with toasted bagels or not. It's just, I always toast my bagel.
Yeah, most people do. This is where we are. I mean, so on January 6th, we had the president of the United States basically encouraging an insurrection against the government and an election. And on January 25th, the new president of the United States ordered a toasted bagel. And that's where we are with our outrage. Or at least where Andrew Bojan is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw another person that I know post how this is what you get for voting for Biden. 10,000 jobs lost. Talking about the Keystone XL.
Blah blah blah, blah, blah.
It's just it's so disingenuous to use that information because first of all, they hadn't awarded one single contract yet that would have affected those 10,000 jobs. So nobody had been promised work. Nobody had a signed contract. Nobody was canceling contracts. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, any contractor that's worth his salt knows you don't count on a job until you have a signed contract.
Right.
Like, so you can't it's so upsetting to me, especially when somebody that's a contractor and understands that,
I'm listening. Keep going.
I don't get it, dude. Like, what the fuck's the matter with people? Like, what the fuck is the matter with people?
Well, people want to be upset, and they're going to find a way to be upset no matter what. And especially, I'm finding our friends on the more conservative side of the aisle really love to be upset about things. That's what I'm going to say. And it's really weird because they like calling liberals snowflakes. And I forgot to hook up a cable here. I got. You know what I need you to do, Jason? I need you to vamp for about 20 seconds while I go grab it because I know exactly where it is.
Oh, okay. Well, hello, people at home watching us right now. Let me ask you, like, how do you all feel when people are disingenuous with numbers like that? Like, there's nothing like if nobody had been given a contract, then those are just potential jobs, and that can just disappear at any moment, anyways. Like, Amazon was going to bring thousands of jobs to Brooklyn, and then they decided not to make a headquarters there. IKEA plans on making an IKEA store somewhere, and then they decide not to put the IKEA in that location and put it in a different location. Do you now say, "Oh my God, IKEA, you just lost us 5,000 jobs"? Like, nobody says that when a business takes their business elsewhere, like, because nothing ever promised to, like, that's the way the fucking world is.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have a contract, it's not, there's not, like, you don't even, in fact, like, you as a contractor, you don't even show contracts that you've not been awarded. You don't put that on your profits and loss sheet. You don't put that on your upcoming business. Like, you can't put a contract that you've never signed on your upcoming business, like, because these guys, for the bonding that they get and things of that nature, in order to get jobs like this, they have to have a lot of financial information that they have to get signed off on. They have to get bonding for the jobs. There's a lot that goes into it, which is one of the reasons that it's taking so long to do the high-speed rail stuff. Like, it takes a long time to get that type of shit taken care of. And that's all we used to do. Like, all the jobs that I did with my dad,
Right.
like, I wouldn't say all, but I would say 70% of the jobs that we did where we got our money were with the federal government. Like, they were to make roads. I mean, we didn't plan on getting a contract until we hoped, and we're like, oh man, if we get this job, man, we're going to make 30% profit. No problem. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great job. If nothing goes wrong, we'll make 30% on it.
Right.
And that's why you take jobs where you're going to take 30%, because guess what? In fucking construction, things happen every fucking day. So anyhow, I don't get it, and it's so upsetting to me to see people fucking pushing that narrative or that idea, because it's disingenuous. It's not the truth. Now, if they said potentially lost like 10,000 potential jobs,
right?
I mean, okay, that's a lot more truthful, but it's still disingenuous.
Like, yeah. I mean, it's just really unfortunate the way that that people are just ridiculous with that sort of shit. Anyway, let me. I plugged in the cord, and shockingly enough, then we got some static. So I'm doing this on the fly as we go. All right. So apparently we are hooked up with that now. Plug you back in so I can come over here. I hope. Drop something. Oh boy, here we go. Can I get the mouse over to the other monitor? I've got two monitors here, but now suddenly my mouse won't go to the bigger one that I need to see. It's one of those days. It really is.
Sometimes.
All
I had a great day today.
You did?
Yeah. So, just some things were going on in the family and whatnot, and decided to take. I haven't taken like any time off since whole COVID started, since over a year. I've worked pretty much every day. I might get a day off here or there, but
right,
every single day I'm checking. And even on days off, I still usually check my emails, like unless it's Christmas or July 4th or some shit like that. But I was like, I'm going to take the whole week off and just be a dad
Right on.
and watch the kids and try to keep them away from Chris while she works. And can I just tell you how amazing my day was? Just like not having to worry about work and just being able to pay attention to my daughter and play with her.
No, that's super cool. Yeah, it's one of those things that kids are really great a lot of times. Not always. Not always. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Well, I'm glad you had a good day. As I was talking about before you came online, I got the last of the stuff that's coming to the new office over here today.
Nice.
So we did that. All the little holes that were in the wall where we hung stuff, those are all patched. Anything that needed to be painted was touched up. So yeah, it's the old place is closed up. So it was a productive day.
Awesome. And they can suck it.
Yeah, so we'll get that all wrapped up and squared away, and then eventually we'll get this space that I'm in now looking less like a storage unit and more like studios, which has to be happened because there's another podcast that's recording here on Wednesday night and another one on Thursday. So they're coming in. So we're all set to do one on Friday, and they ended up having to cancel. So, but then we brought more stuff in and some stuff got put up, but one studio is basically all set up. I just have to wire the board in, which, 45 minutes and we're done. So yeah, it's a fun thing to get everything done. So I don't know when Kareem's going to join us, so I'm going to push on through here. We lost Hank Aaron not so long ago. And Jason, I know you're not a big baseball fan or a big sports fan at all, but Hank Aaron really went above and beyond sports for most people. ESPN had a really nice tribute for him, and I would like to play that now.
RBIs and total bases. He was the game's home run king for 33 years, and he played in 25 All-Star games. Yet, he was still underrated in part because he was not flashy. He hit 755 homers, but never 50 in a season. He was remarkably consistent, but he was overshadowed by more charismatic players in bigger markets.
If Hank had played in New York like Mantle and A's, we all know it would have been a different story. He was stuck in Milwaukee. I know they were in the World Series in 57, 58. That put him in the spotlight. But other than that, it really wasn't until he was getting into that Ruth territory that the spotlight finally shone on him the way that it should have all along.
Born in the segregated Alabama, baseball was Aaron's way out. A star in the Negro Leagues, his 23-year Major League career began with the Milwaukee Braves in 1954, but in 1966, the Braves moved to Atlanta, putting Aaron back in the Deep South, where he had worked so hard to escape.
Hank was returning to a different South, returning to a new South. And Atlanta is considered the capital of the New South.
The civil rights movement had already shocked the New South. Here comes a face that's on their team, but still had that dignity. Don't mess with him. Don't talk down to him.
In 1974, Aaron was on the cusp of breaking the home run record that had been held for 40 years by an American icon, Babe Ruth. Aaron received death threats and racially driven hate mail up to 3,000 letters a day.
Hank, there's three things you can't give a nigga: a black eye, a puff lip, or a job. Things like this really makes me push just that much harder. I really love
Hank saved all those hateful letters in a box in the attic. And at one point I said to Hank, there's no denying that that's true. But has that obscured for you the fact that millions and millions of Americans, not just black Americans, admired and respected you? His face softened and he said, I know that's true, but it still doesn't change what I had to go through.
for him to stay focused and hit 756 home runs. And I just don't understand it. I don't get it. You know, if a guy hit, 300 or 400 home runs in the major league, he's like, a god. What's higher than a god? Hank Aaron.
On April 8th, 1974, Aaron hit his 715th home run, passing the Babe as the all-time home run king.
Here's the pitch by Downing. Swinging. There's a drive into left center field. That ball is going to be out of here. It's gone. It's 7:15. There's a new home run champion of all time, and it's Henry Aaron.
A record thought to be untouchable was broken by an African American. As Aaron stood at home plate, with teammates and family surrounding him, with tears of relief in his eyes, he said,
I just thank God it's all over with. Thank you very much.
That poker face of Aaron shows the tremendous relief. What a marvelous moment for baseball. What a marvelous moment for the country and the world.
So Hank Aaron wanted to get into baseball ownership. They get into that a little bit later on in the story. And Ted Turner from the Braves actually gave him a job in the front office, but that was the only way he was able to get into the front office, as for a long time, there weren't very many, if any, African Americans in the front office in baseball. So if you doubt what a big deal Hank Aaron is on so many levels, then you didn't flip by the MLB network this weekend, where it was basically nothing but Hank Aaron for several days, talking about his life, his accomplishments, and what he did on the field was such a small part of it. So big loss, 86 years old. There were rumors that it had to do with his COVID vaccination that he got, and that has been reported to be false. That's not
No.
right. TMZ of all places cleared that up for us. So why does that have to be? Why do we have to have these conversations? I ask you. All right, so let's move on. So you remember when Rudy Giuliani was going all around the country claiming voter fraud and saying Dominion voting machines were rigged and all that? Well, the chickens have come home to roost, because Dominion, who sent out some notifications a while ago saying, hey, I'm going to need you to hold on to all your stuff, all your communications, any of your interviews that you did to a bunch of people. Well, they've now filed a lawsuit against Rudy Giuliani for $1.3 billion. 1.3 for peddling lies about the company as parts of the efforts to falsely claim the 2020 election was stolen from Trump. The defamation lawsuit filed earlier today, Monday, in Washington, D.C. federal court accuses Giuliani of manufacturing and spreading the big lie, which went viral and deceived millions of people into believing that Dominion had stolen their votes and fixed the election in favor of Joe Biden. By the night of the election, Giuliani had devised a plan to simply assert without evidence big lie that the election had been stolen, the lawsuit reads. While some lies, little lies, flare up on social media and die with the next news cycle, the big lie was different. The harm to Dominion's business and reputation is unprecedented and irreparable because of how fervently millions of people believe it. Indeed, hundreds of people believe the big lie about Dominion with such devotion that they took the fight from social media to the United States Capitol to hashtag Stop the Steal. The lawsuit alleges Giuliani sought to profit from the big lie when he was reportedly paid $20,000 per day as Trump's lawyer and cashed in on it during his podcast, where he spewed lies about the election while marketing gold coins, cigars, and supplements for achy joints. The company said its employees were targeted with death threats and calls for imprisonment due to Giuliani's viral disinformation campaign. Oh, the consequences are happening. We knew it was going to be big. I didn't know it was going to be $1.3 billion big.
Well, just thinking about it, like, could they ever have an election, be part of an election now without idiots bringing up? Yeah.
No.
They're fucked. Their company is fucked.
They're going to have to change their name. They're going to have to do a variety of things to fix it, and it's going to cost money. And I think the important thing is that Rudy Giuliani is getting sued for $1 billion. Now, $1.3 billion. So Garrett Miller was a Capitol rioter, and he says he was only following Trump's orders, and he has since apologized to Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez for a threat that he made. He's a Texas man. He's charged with invading the Capitol and threatening AOC. He said Monday he was effectively following then-President Donald Trump's orders when he joined a mob that stormed Congress. Garrett Miller also apologized to Ocasio-Cortez for writing "Assassinate AOC" in a Twitter post. He said he would be willing to testify to Congress or in a trial about the riot. Well, you know what's fun is earlier today, the article of impeachment was brought from the House to the Senate, and it involves Donald Trump encouraging an insurrection. Yeah, it's going to be a thing. Okay. Kareem says sorry. Okay. Yeah, well, fine. He'll join when he joins, or he doesn't. We're not going super long tonight because Leslie has an operation tomorrow, so we want to get right to it. There is a trial starting in 2 weeks. Miller, by the way, who's 34, had on a social media account also threatened a Capitol police officer who fatally shot a fellow rioter, saying he planned to hug his neck with a nice rope. Oh, he has a way with words, doesn't he?
Absolutely. Man.
So Miller is one of dozens of people charged with participating in the riot, which began shortly after Trump held a rally outside the White House, where he urged supporters to pressure Congress to reject the election of Joe Biden as president. We went through all of that. So we kind of know what that is. It's covered ground.
It's so nuts that he has made, he's got his cult so enamored with him that they're going to take him down.
Well, I mean, this was tweeted, and it's called MAGA Tears. And she was very, very upset on Inauguration Day.
President Trump, if you see this, please save us. I don't even see our American flag anymore. Biden's talking with some kind of crazy flag. This is America.
I don't know what she's talking about. The only thing I'm thinking, because I saw a clip of Biden's speech this morning, the stairs behind him had red and blue carpeting on them. I don't know if you thought that was the flag or what.
There was behind him. There was flags, and they had the revolutionary flag, the circle flag, right? The circle stars. Yeah. They had a flag. I don't know if it's the World War I flag or what, but one with less stars. And they had a modern flag, and they had three of them on either side mirroring each other. And then they also had the where it's just like the red, white, and blue like ruffles, but then also like the things that come down off of it. There's a specific type of
bunting.
Yeah, there's a special term for it when it's of our country's colors in that. So there was that also in between, separating them.
Well, I see why she's so upset, Jason.
Arlen, please, President Trump. Please, I hope you have a plan. God, please save us. Save us from the devil, please.
Okay, do you want Trump to save you, or do you want God to save you? Which one is it?
I mean, or is Trump the God? Trump is God to them.
We're not done yet.
Y'all, I'm about to have a panic attack. This is our country. Our country. This is awful. God, please save us, please.
Okay. It's our country too, lady.
It's our.
Yeah, our. An inclusive our. It's our country. Do I need
to? She's talking about her and her other white supremacist friends.
Yeah, I mean, look, I remember Schoolhouse Rock, and it's the Great American Melting Pot, not the Great American Crying White Lady. But those aren't on TV anymore, so.
So this is this is Maggoteers LaCroix that I'm drinking right here. It's delicious.
So the other thing is, and I get this next one from the Twitter feed, Coping MAGA. And this lady, I believe, is one of them QAnon folks. And you know what I hate most about them, Jason? Is their circular math logic that they try to use. So this lady, she's going to go round and round with numbers that mean nothing and aren't tied to anything. And where she comes out is just fucking nuts.
So I've always kind of wanted to know where the phrase, "It's not over till the fat lady sings," came from. So I did a little bit of research. Turns out it's a colloquialism or a proverb, which means don't presume to know what happens until it happens.
Okay, a colloquialism and a proverb are not the same thing.
Not the same thing.
Well, today Joe Biden was inaugurated as the 46th president of the United States of America. For this Constitution. In 1776.
Okay, we only have the one Constitution.
What's the other? Did we have a secret Constitution, Nate?
I don't know. Let's see where this crazy lady's going.
The Declaration of Independence was created and signed. In 1788, the Constitution was ratified. In 1789, the Bill of Rights was created as well.
Okay.
Which is the first 10 or so articles in the Constitution.
Amendments.
Now, in this original document, the power was given to we the people. Somewhere along the line, the power was sold from we the people to the feds.
No, it's called representative government. We elect them. They go there and represent us. That's not a thing. She's getting very, very wound up with this.
Federal government. Well, President Trump signed the Insurrection Act. That gives us, we the people, the power again. So, what does that mean? It means that in March, President Trump is going to be the 19th president under the original Constitution.
No, it doesn't.
Where do they come up with these dates?
I don't know.
Where do they come up like March 19th? That's when he really is going to be president. That's when the real Constitution says
coming back. Well, I mean, they did used to have Inauguration Day in March, and they did that because it took forever to count the votes and ride them in on horseback from hither and nigh. So,
dude, fake votes, Nate. Those weren't real votes.
they weren't real votes. Meanwhile, and congratulations to this guy, because he was recognized by Bill Maher as one of the new douchebags of the Republican Party. We're talking about Representative Madison Cawthorn from North Carolina. Madison went on CNN, and it didn't go great for him.
Official in that town who actually went against the will of the state legislature and created ballot drop boxes, which is basically ballot harvesting that was happening in the parks.
But this was all litigated. You know that the Trump campaign litigated all of this, more than 60 cases, and they lost. Either the cases were dismissed, the Trump campaign withdrew, or they never brought a case because they didn't have the evidence to back it up.
Indeed, I believe specifically, and this is the one that I debated on behalf of on the House floor in Wisconsin, that was never heard because they dismissed it because of standing. Now, I don't believe that is a concrete enough of a way.
Well, there were three Trump appointments. Okay, so you have Wisconsin, but you ended up not actually voting against Wisconsin. It was just Arizona and Pennsylvania because you didn't have the Senate votes. But three Trump appointed judges actually threw out these cases because of merit. It was because of merit. There were three Trump appointed judges out of all of these judges and the more than 60 cases that were tossed out. And you keep talking about Wisconsin. I'm still not hearing any specific examples of fraud. If you would just tell us, what are the specific examples you saw of fraud? Because when you think of fraud, you think of a vote, you're slipping one past the election official, or a vote was stolen, somehow it didn't count. Did you see that specifically?
No, Pam. And like I said, that's not the reason I contested the election.
Hold on. So you wanted to throw out millions of votes without actually seeing any concrete evidence of fraud? Because that's what you were doing when you were contesting the election. The intent there was throwing out millions of votes.
Well, I disagree with you on that point. That was not my intent. My intent was to hold up the Constitution, and setting up ballot drop boxes, which is essentially ballot harvesting in Wisconsin, is unconstitutional because the state legislature said they didn't want that.
So you know more than the judge, the Trump-appointed judge, who actually looked at that case before the election and dismissed the Trump campaign's argument that drop boxes are unconstitutional. And if you would you point to me and where in the Constitution it says that drop boxes are unconstitutional? I don't recall seeing that in the Constitution.
I was waiting for him to show her.
Yeah, the pretty blonde lady took him to town. And here's another clip. Just the person who posted this when, LOL, it gets better. I'm guessing not for Representative Cawthorn.
That I did it even after the January 6th insurrection, which again, I think is despicable and I absolutely condemn. But the people who changed their vote because of that, I believe they were doing it because of political expedience, either if they were going to contest or if they weren't going to contest. The actions of January 6th do not change what happened in the November election. And I believe what happened in Wisconsin was unconstitutional.
Okay, so you keep focusing on Wisconsin, but there were several battleground states that you contested to, that you talked about. There were several that President Trump had lost. So it's interesting you're focusing on Wisconsin, but would you apply the same issues you had with these battleground states to your own state of North Carolina? Because North Carolina also changed a lot of the rules, even after voters had started voting. Why didn't you have concerns about your own home state of North Carolina?
Well, you know, Pam, I'm actually not aware of the laws that were changed inside of North Carolina. I believe we had a very safe and
It's your home state, fucker.
Your home state, you fucking idiot.
You represent them in Congress and you don't know your election laws that change. By the way, you were running. Wow. But meanwhile, in case you're wondering, are they all nuts? No. And Chris Christie is back. He's back from COVID, and he has a message for all the Republicans out there.
Question that what the whole country needs to focus on in terms of our elections is making sure that we have some effective electoral reform. Nobody wants to wait a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, which happened in some of the House races, to get election results. We need to work on that and make the system better for 2022. But this election was not stolen. All of the facts point in that direction. And I'm a former prosecutor, George. I make decisions based upon evidence, not based upon feelings or partisanship or loyalty. You make those decisions based upon evidence. And the evidence here has shown right from the beginning that while every election has some irregularities, and I'm sure this one did too, there were no type of irregularities that would have changed the result in any one state, let alone the 4 states that would need to have been changed for the result of the election have been changed. And folks in my party who are doing that, quite frankly, are just trying to make political points with those people who the president and others lied to about.
So there you go. You want to hear it from a Republican? There, we've heard it from a Republican.
But
Meanwhile,
he's a rhino. He's a rhino.
Well, sure he is. Meanwhile, our friend Seth Rogen is having a Twitter feud with Ted Cruz. Oh, I'm sorry, he's not. He tweeted, "This isn't a Twitter feud. Ted Cruz tried to overthrow our government. He inspired a deadly mob to storm the Capitol, and I think that deserves ridicule. So fuck him." Dean Browning replied, "Interesting. So you would consider yourself an American? In that case, is Ted Cruz not an American? Really stepping in it, Sethy." To which he replied, "I have an American passport and I vote in America and I'm an American citizen. You fucking clown. Now go back to pretending to be a gay black man and shut the fuck up." If you're not familiar, Dean Browning, who is the whitest middle-aged dude you'll ever see, I don't know if he thought he was using a different Twitter account, but he tweeted that he was a gay black man. It had a point to make. So Dean, I'm guessing Dean had multiple Twitter accounts and got confused which one he was posting. This was a few years ago, but yeah, he's having none of it. None of it, Seth Rogen. None of it. By the way, Freaks and Geeks is coming to Hulu. in case you're wondering. Couple more political things, and then we'll get to some weird stuff before we get out of here. Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State, has told us who he really is, Jason. On his last day in the cabinet, he thought it would be a good idea to denounce multiculturalism, saying that it's not part of who America is.
What the fuck, dude?
It's the great American melting pot, Mike Pompeo. Were you not paying attention during Schoolhouse Rock? Were you not paying attention? It's the great American melting pot. He tweeted this out. Wokeism, multiculturalism, all the isms, they're not who America is. The text appeared above an image in which the Kansas Republican added that censorship, wokeness, and political correctness put a nation on the path to authoritarianism.
Oh, man.
The administration you're a part of encouraged an angry mob to storm to Congress and demand that a fair election be overthrown so that someone who wasn't elected could remain in office and be president. And you're worried about multiculturalism breeding authoritarianism? This is a good one. If you're watching on YouTube, go watch this on YouTube if you're just listening to it. Mike Pompeo. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Oh.
His last day in the cabinet, that's what he decided to do. Speaking of people who were in the Trump administration, Sarah Huckabee Sanders has announced running for governor of Arkansas.
Why not?
Well, sure. I mean, her dad was governor of Arkansas, and he's the worst person I've ever encountered. He's just fucking terrible. Just fucking terrible. He's a shit musician. He makes terrible jokes. He's just fucking awful. I mean, good for her. She can do whatever she likes. She's seen as the leader in the polls in the Republican state. She clashed frequently with the media during the time as a press secretary because, she just lied, so they got tired of it. But she's in.
In the pitch black of night, with no lights on the plane or runway, Air Force One touched down in war-torn Iraq. Nearby, hundreds of troops had gathered at a remote military base in the desert to celebrate Christmas. They expected to be joined by senior military leadership, but instead got their commander-in-chief.
He made one trip in 4 years. And that's what this is, a 7-minute and 46-second video talking about running for governor. And that's how she starts it. Fuck straight off. Just saying. All right. We are going to stop talking about politics now because I think it's important to move on. Yeah, I'm done with it. Let's go to South Carolina, where a couple is facing an indecent exposure charge after allegedly filming themselves while engaging in sex acts inside a glass gondola on the Myrtle Beach Skywheel. Police allege that Lori Harmon and her husband Eric, both 36, were within the view of the public earlier this month when Lori exposed her breasts and performed oral sex on her spouse, whose penis was exposed. I would think it would have to be in order to do that, but okay. The explicit activity was recorded and uploaded to an adult website where it was viewed by the Myrtle Beach Police Department. What are they doing watching porn? An arrest warrant does not identify the website or reveal how the investigators discovered the clip. Other videos show the Harmons engaged in sex acts in a community pool and at a Myrtle Beach resort. They've been charged with indecent exposure and participation of obscene material. They were released on bond from the Horry County Jail. That's right, Jason. The Horry County Jail.
I'm not saying that I've seen that video.
Oh, but you're not saying you haven't. Under the name Lucky Lacey, the Harmons posted about 140 explicit videos to Pornhub, where their page had more than 11,000 subscribers and 2.7 million views before it recently disappeared. A cache version of the Pornhub page notes that we are a married couple and have been together for 18 years. We absolutely love sex and love getting risky in public. The duo's OnlyFans account, subscriptions to which cost $5 per month, appears to still be online. So if you really want to see him doing it, go ahead. Back in 2016, a different couple was arrested for having sex inside a glass-walled cabin on the 550-foot observation wheel on the Las Vegas Strip. While the duo engaged in a series of sex acts, the occupants of an adjacent cabin recorded the action with their phones. I am so offended. I'm going to film this. I'm not only going to look at it, I'm going to keep it in frame and do the whole thing. That's how offended I am.
I am now going to get my video editor that I have on my phone and edit it.
I'm going to edit out the dull parts where they change positions. We don't need that. I'm going to add some music too. We'll add a little music, just for ambiance.
I put some titles on it so I know. I remember what. Like we need to make sure we see what date it is.
Maybe some captions. What they might have been saying. Anyway, meanwhile in Texas, while paramedics were on a call, a Texas man jumped into an ambulance and drove the vehicle with its lights flashing to a Jack in the Box where he ordered food at the drive-thru. According to Houston police, Ronaldo Leonard, who's also 36. What's going on with the 36-year-olds, Jason? They're all crazy.
It's a time where you're going through changes for sure.
He was charged with felony theft in connection with the ambulance heist. The stolen vehicle, valued in excess of $150,000, was tracked to a Jack in the Box where Leonard was at the drive-up ordering food with the emergency lights. The restaurant's more than 4 miles from where the Houston Fire Department ambulance was stolen. He's still behind bars in the Harris County Jail. In light of his prior criminal record, prosecutors have asked the judge to deny him bail. Now, according to court records, his rap sheet includes separate felony convictions for PCP possession, robbery, and cocaine possession. So he likes the drugs that get you up and going.
I was just thinking, like, this could have been me, like I could have been here doing that,
right?
I'm 43, right? So 7 years ago, I would have been 36, and that would. I know. I'm just trying to talk this through. So, and that would have been 2004. So, I think that I hadn't married Chris yet.
Hold on. I have to stop you now because 2004 was 17 years ago.
2014. Yeah. Yeah. The odds just kind of disappear sometimes.
Just a haze. Just a blurry haze.
Yeah, the 2000, especially 2004. Anyhow, this last 10 years, feel like it's gotten by so quick. It's nuts. Like,
I feel ya.
2014. So that's when I'm pretty sure that and I hadn't proposed to her yet. So, I mean, that's 36 is definitely an age where you start making crazy decisions in your life.
Yeah. Yep. Meanwhile, a North Dakota man on probation for narcotics possession was wearing a "Don't Do Drugs" T-shirt when he was arrested for methamphetamine possession. Ezekiel Robles, who's 40, was collared following a traffic stop in Williston. A search of his vehicle turned up a baggie containing meth and a spoon with meth residue. That's according to a probable cause affidavit. Charged with narcotics possession and possession of drug paraphernalia. He was booked into the County Jail where the above photo was snapped. He's got a big smile and a "Don't Do Drugs" shirt and a neck tattoo. He was convicted in late 2019 for meth possession and sentenced to 3 years in prison, 2 of which were suspended and placed on 2 years probation upon his departure from custody. Well, he's back. He's scheduled for bond hearing. We've already passed that. The preliminary hearing will be February 17th. So don't do drugs. Do as my T-shirt says, not as I actually do. Just wondrous stuff, isn't it?
Just like 9 times out of 10, like the moment you see somebody that has a shirt that says "Don't do drugs,"
they're doing drugs.
They're doing drugs, or like if they're wearing a Dare shirt and they're not like ironic, like
they're high high as fuck.
Yeah.
High AF.
It's so ridiculous.
It's the way it goes. Hey, Florida off the hook this week. No Florida corner.
Oh,
Thank you,
hey.
North
Good
Dakota,
job.
Texas,
Good
and
job.
South Carolina. No Florida corner. All right, Jason. We've reached the end. We're going to get the hell out of here in a reasonable time, and we're going to wrap it up with this.
Let's leave the hustle and bustle for small town news.
We go to my section of the country, the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont, where Vermont's own, they're not Vermont's own Channel 3 anymore. I forget what their damn slogan is. But they filed this story.
He spent a century learning to play music on all kinds of instruments and keeping perfect time.
Joe Carroll finds out why this week's super senior keeps on playing.
Bernie Matthews is keenly aware of time.
I made them all.
After retiring from teaching music, Bernie didn't waste a minute, making over 100 timepieces. And at high noon, the sounds of chimes fill his home in Orleans, an hourly reminder that time marches on.
It sure does. It sure does. It doesn't stop for nothing.
It's only fitting. Just below the clocks are birthday cards congratulating him on a special birthday.
It doesn't seem possible. I got to 100.
Turning a century old, you can forgive Bernie when he retires to his bedroom mid-morning.
Okay.
But it's not to rest, but to play.
How long do you normally play for?
Oh, 3/4 of an hour or so.
Jason, let me ask you this. Is 3/4 of an hour or so of an expression that anybody outside of the Northeast uses?
3/4 of an hour or so?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Nobody ever says that.
Yeah, I would totally say that. That's absolutely where I'm from. How long you do it? 3/4 of an hour or so.
Yeah.
Twice a day, he sits down on his bed and gets his digits dancing. Music has been part of Bernie's life since he was a young boy growing up on a farm near Irisburg. He was partial to the brass instruments and the marching bands. Later in World War II, he took a guitar on a ship to entertain the men.
I'm sorry, is it just me or is that violin just fucking terrible?
Horrible. It sounds like it's like I can play like that.
I know he's a music teacher and I know he's 100 years old, but God, okay. Want to make sure it wasn't just me. And it does sound like bed springs, is what it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, like,
when he came home, Bernie became a music teacher, instructing kids all over the Northeast Kingdom.
Do you imagine life without music?
You'd be dull. You'd be dull.
A while back, Bernie was recuperating at a nursing home after breaking his hip. Other musical talents kicked in.
Oh, girl of my dreams, I love you. Honest, I do.
Bernie was crooning for the ladies at the home, but the girl of his dreams was Teresa, who passed away 20 years ago. The couple raised 4 kids. 3 became professional musicians. And there's a belief that a quality violin gets better over time.
How about you? Do you get better with age?
Well, some ways, yeah. Some ways. I think it's kept me young.
Fit as a fiddle. In Orleans, Joe Carroll.
Thank you. Thank you.
Channel 3 News.
All right. So that's small town news, everybody. Oh, sorry, Jason. I've no, I didn't mute you. You muted you.
Yeah, I muted myself. I don't like the fact that I'm laughing at an old man or feel like embarrassed for them. I feel bad in a way, but at the same time, like Man, he should not have been teaching kids how to play instruments.
Well, let me just be clear about something. He probably was a lot better before he was 100.
Right.
I'm guessing. He's got kids who are professional
I feel
musicians.
the reporters should have stayed away from certain things and didn't. And one of those things I feel like was like, there's some thought that a violin gets better with the years.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's small town news, Jason. What do you expect?
Small townness, which we got.
Yep, we got small town news. And by the way, so much better than people storming the Capitol.
A lot better.
Or anything Ted Cruz would say. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. A little bit of
so weird looking.
That's true. That's true.
He makes me feel weird when I look at him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like Wolverine's brother who fell on hard times. And that's whether he was worse without the beard. That's the scary thing.
Oh, with the beard, it's frightening.
Yeah. All right, well, that's going to do it for us for this episode of the WTH podcast. Kareem, I hope everything is going well with you, my friend. Kareem helped me with the big move on Saturday, so thank you again for that, Kareem.
Awesome.
Loaded up the moving truck and got the big stuff over here, and I could not have done it without his help. It is much appreciated. Thank you, Jason, for joining me on this little journey. Thanks, everybody, for downloading and listening or watching live. However you take in the show, thank you for doing that. Thank you for telling your friends that you enjoy the show and where they can find it, which is wherever you listen to podcasts. And, of course, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We're all over the place. So until next time, have a great week. Be nice. Don't be an asshole. And we'll see you next time on the I need a different mouse to do this, right? On the WTH podcast. Bye-bye, everybody.
Darling New Media, here to help you tell your story.